Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have had a wonderful day so far. Today, I have for you my double Game Week 24 team selection, including the finalization of which chip I shall commit to for double Game Week 24. And also, as promised, I shall showcase my team all the way from now until blank Game Week 34 and showing you the permutations of the new chip strategy I've adopted, for now at least, and why I like it so much and the positive effects I think it has on my team. Now, my request for subscribers and likes has been going very well, so I'm greatly appreciative for that. If we can try and reach 6,500 subscribers and 450 likes on this video, that would be absolutely marvelous. But without anything else needing to be said, let's see how we line up for the double game week. I have a feeling that come tomorrow, in solving your problems, I will certainly be discussing this man and whether some of you should be bringing him in for a hit, given your questions and given the prospects that he boasts over the coming game weeks. Not only is it quite an attractive double for him, with Leicester at home included in the fixture set, but the fixtures to follow after are certainly ones which I consider Hall-like. They are the ones where the clean sheets are by far from being a banker, but at the same time, they are not even close to being impossible. They're about in the middle, and they're the ones where Everton could keep a clean sheet, given the way they play, given the players they have, and he could accumulate quite a few saves to allow him to end up with a haul. So there's honestly not much to say here, apart from the fact that having him in feels great, especially after owning Sanchez for, what, an 8-game week? No, longer than that. It was maybe like a 10, 11, 12-game week period. It feels wonderful to have got rid of him and have such a good goalkeeper in place who's very much proven for about a good season and a half now. For those of you who don't have him, I will touch on him in solving your problems, but I really would be considering it, especially ahead of Alisson, who you know I don't like a lot, and even moving from Raya to Pickford following Raya's injury, which happened sometime in the very recent past. Now, there wasn't too much to talk about in that section, and why would there be when I hold, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in the game currently, and he's got a double game week. However, with the defense, there certainly is a little bit more to discuss. Firstly, I have Konate, and that's probably the easiest part of it, right? The defender I absolutely love. He gave me my cheap route into the Liverpool defense. He meant that I didn't even have to consider sacrificing Phil Foden, or not seriously consider it. And as such, I'm very grateful for him being priced at this price point. And like I said, I still think he's a better asset than Trent when you take everything into account, for reasons I discussed in everything you need to know, should you be interested in why and why I think it's actually okay to sell Trent, and somewhat preferable in many cases. And I mean that in an absolute sense, right? Not 50% of the field, but a decent amount of people, hundreds or potentially even thousands, probably thousands of people. But Konate's not going anywhere and he'll start. He's got a double gaming, right? The other three, however, slightly trickier. And I say three, but really you could argue four. Is Burgess going to play against Southampton? Well, it's unlikely, but should I be starting him in the hope that he does, knowing that Kieran McKenna doesn't really have centre-backs on his bench, so a bench appearance is so unlikely. I either get 90 or 0. Well, potentially. But I thought about if he does start, would I want him to play in my starting 11 over Gabriel? Because that's who I was really tossing up between. And my answer was no. One, Gabriel's got that set-piece threat, and I don't think City are phenomenal at defending their box when it comes to set pieces. We obviously saw the goal that Gabriel scored at the Etihad, but also the big chance that he missed prior to that. So I feel very comfortable starting him for his attacking threat alone. I also think Southampton can score in Ipswich and have the best defense at the moment. So that's another thing, which means, hey, we'll be starting Gabriel. It serves as a nice protection mechanism to my rank, right? Because some people will still have double Arsenal defense. Pretty much everyone will be starting Gabriel out of a lot of the engaged managers, at least. So I guess it serves as a nice protection mechanism when I don't have significant upside elsewhere. The reason I would like to have benched him in an ideal world is because I have Phil Foden and I think City score. So to maximize the upside there. But, you know, for this week, it really shouldn't be that much of an issue. And the last one, well, it came down to Phil Foden, came down to Lewis Hall or Anthony Robinson. And I've decided to go for Lewis Hall. When you see the midfield and you see the attack, obviously I've got Isak, but everyone does. So it doesn't make too much of a difference to me in that sense. I'm not really maximizing upside or minimizing downside with that move. It was really about how I see Newcastle, Fulham playing out if I just had him. But as you will see in the midfield, I have held Anthony Gordon for reasons we will come on to. But when you consider I have Anthony Gordon and I'm going to be starting him, of course I could start Rodgers over him and we'll come on to that, but I've chosen to start Gordon. It really makes sense to pair him with Hall and then just bench Robinson, because why would I want my attacker playing against a defender in the same game, and I'd be benching the fullback that plays on his flank, so who knows, they could combine for maximum upside with a goal and an assist. So why? Why have I kept Anthony Gordon? Well, we'll come on to that later. But why is Morgan Rodgers benched following his hat-trick midweek against Celtic? Well, Aston Villa don't traditionally have the best record when they play Champions League football and then they have a game at the weekend. The other thing is this game was on a Wednesday, right? And their next fixture is not on a Sunday, it's actually on a Saturday. It's also away from home. And for those reasons, I do think that fatigue could potentially creep into this Villa side. They've got some injuries at the moment. There's no Onana. John Duran's gone, so Watkins should be fine given he hasn't played too many minutes this season compared to what he probably expected. But also, he had a fatigue from the Euros, so like his body definitely has to catch up, right? So there's still that aspect. They've got a lot of injuries, not just to Onana, but they had another one tonight with Matty Cash, obviously Tyrone Mings in the game beforehand. So they're somewhat depleted. I wouldn't be surprised if fatigue sets in somewhat and Wolves actually get a result. I was genuinely looking at this for the assistant manager chip as well, but not. Okay. I'm just going to play in a double and I prefer Moyes' prospects over the two anyway. So that's why Gordon starts over him, mainly due to fatigue. I think it's a very, 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 very fair decision to start Rodgers. And not just for the fact that he scored a hat-trick, but also one of the reasons we spoke about in solving your problems. When I found out Onana was out, I was like, oh, they'll probably tweak the system again, go back to what they were doing initially, a pivot of Tielemans Kamara, and then Rodgers will go from playing on the right-hand side into the middle and look more threatening, right? And they'll probably do that again. They did that again tonight. And as such, I think the likelihood of output certainly increases. So if you are to be starting Morgan Rodgers, especially with how Wolves have been playing and the fact that there's no João Gomez, I think it's absolutely fine. Just for me, I personally prefer Anthony Gordon, more so for the reasons in Rodgers' camp as opposed to Gordon's prospects, because I really respect Fulham. I respect their defense. I know it's going to be a physical game. I know they're a hard side to break down when they get into that mid block, and I know that even transitioning on them with Fulham's level of physicality isn't particularly easy as well. And Gordon's goal threat hasn't been super high this season, nor is his full potential. However, with all of that being said, I know that I have an absolute superstar in my midfield in terms of talent. And I know that at any given moment, especially because he's at home as well, can kind of just turn it on. And like I said, with Lewis Hall, I would like to pair the upside. So close decision, but I'm going for Gordon. Salah. I mean, what else am I to do with them? It's a double game week, right? Palmer. Again, what else am I to do with him? And then Phil Foden. Could Rodgers start over Foden? Yeah. And at some point, like really early on, last game week, probably before Manchester City, Chelsea, yeah, definitely. I actually had Foden on the bench and Rodgers starting. The guy just looks too good. He's too sharp at the moment. I don't expect him to play wide left like he did for the first half against Club Brugge tonight, but rather, even if he's on the right wing, I don't mind it too much. And then hopefully he's in one of those central areas. And if he is, then I think, or at least operating in there more often than not, I think I've got a good chance at not just a return, but potentially a haul, or even getting a goal and then getting a 10-pointer. Something similar to what Salah did off that right-hand side when he took a trip to the Emirates, because there'll be a lot of emphasis placed on containing Erling Haaland, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Foden pick up one of those pockets and then turn and shoot. But yeah, that's why I'm starting him over Rodgers, and also just in too good of a form for me to bench. And that's why the team looks like that for now. Let's move on to the forward line. The most informed striker in the league, combined with the double game week asset who got 16 points in the last game week. For those two, it is an absolute no-brainer. They, of course, start. You could, however, argue that maybe the guy who scored a hat-trick midweek should start over Yoane Wissa for some of the reasons that I included in my fresh and other interpretation of Brentford assets in Everything News Net, which of course you can go and watch on my YouTube channel. It's just the previous video. But as of now, I'm still comfortable playing Yoane Wissa over him. I think that he should accumulate at least some opportunities in that Spurs game. I've got a feeling that Van der Ven's going to be back from the start. He rushed him back against Chelsea, obviously, in my opinion, not so wisely. I wouldn't be surprised if he rushes him back again against Brentford just because of how things are going. And if he doesn't, then that's fine. It's good for Wissa, I would say, because and for Van der Ven's health, but good for Wissa in terms of FPL because he'll be playing against a weaker centre-back pairing. So I think he should definitely accumulate some chances at least. He's at home, right? The floor of chances accumulated or potential opportunities to return should be quite high. I've just brought him in. I'm going to play him, right? Like, otherwise it was a real waste of a transfer. And to be honest, that's quite a bit of irrational thinking. And it's not the reason that I'm playing him. But it certainly helps to make my decision. But genuinely, it is not the reason I'm playing him. I'm playing him because I do think his prospects are slightly better, at least, than Morgan Rodgers away to Wolves. Now for the grand reveal, which chip I have committed to. And given what you can see in the top left corner of your screen, it should be quite apparent that I have indeed gone for the assistant manager chip. Well, 99%. I have not activated it because obviously this is such an enormous decision. Let's say Saturday morning, my mind changes. I would like to have the flexibility to change that, right? Is it going to? Almost definitely not. Has it done so once this entire season? No. Whenever I've hosted my team selection, that's largely what I finished with. Apart from once where I told you guys in advance that I was going to make this particular change to what I said in my team selection. They very likely will be on David Moyes for all of the reasons discussed in everything you need to know yesterday. So if you'd like to go and check that out, and potentially it could sway you to my way of thinking for the reasons I haven't gone for Salah triple captaincy, then by all means, please go and watch the previous video, and I hope you enjoy it and get something from it. What I would like to reiterate from my analysis of the Salah triple captain prospects is that I genuinely do think this is one of the widest ranges I've ever seen for a player in a particular game week. If someone told me he went blank and got 2 points, and you know what, we'll chuck a yellow card in there, he got 3 points over the entire game week, I'd be like, okay, cool, I believe you. Similarly, if someone told me that, oh, your rank has been significantly dented by his 30-pointer because he scored 2 braces in both games, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Again, I believe you. It's not a surprise to me. I really do think, given all of the variables, the range is so wide this game week. And as such, regardless of the outcome, I don't think you can be disappointed, genuinely, or feel like hard done by. Say you don't triple captain him and he scores like 100 points, fine. You can feel a little bit hard done by. Scores 30, I don't think you can feel particularly bad. Equally, you do triple captain him and he blanks in both games. Again, I don't think you can feel particularly bad given the variables and the opposition that he is to encounter. So that is the way I see that. I'm kind of expecting it to be up in air, should we say. And then with Moyes, I've expressed all my prospects on him for this double game week in everything you need to know. And then me really attacking the upside in gaming 25. That's the one fixture I see as my banker, at least, or the one where I have a very high floor because I don't expect Fulham to lose at home to Forest. Of course, it could happen. I just don't think they will. And then hopefully Manchester City in game week 26 for Liverpool at home. Now, obviously, City have gone through in the Champions League, and it will mean that they'll either have Madrid or Bayern midweek and Liverpool at home on the weekend. And to be honest, I actually think that's a good thing. Yeah, sure, they might be a little bit more tired, but the adrenaline rush of that Liverpool game probably carries them through it. And if they beat Real Madrid or Bayern, it's a good bit of form to have going into that game. And again, remember one thing I spoke about was I wouldn't mind a little Liverpool blip because it would help my rank immensely. And if they do go on a bit of a poor run and move into that going into the City game where City are in good form, it'd be a good time for City to take 3 points off them in what will be a 6-point game for 2 title challenges. I would still say it will be an outside shout for Manchester City. Yep, that's where I have landed. It should be a really interesting rest of the season now because every game week is going to be so pivotal. Even when I finish the assistant manager, it'll be 27-28 and then a blank game week, right? So it's just going to keep going and keep going. But yeah, it should be so interesting and I'm very much looking forward to it. The 3 p.m. fixtures, Everton, Leicester, Newcastle, Fulham. I have a triple up. And of course, Bournemouth versus Liverpool. It's going to be great times for FPL. And I imagine many of you will be enjoying that as well. So I look forward to it. Now let's get on to the transfer plans and I'll show you how this chip strategy works and why, not just for the reasons of direct expected points, but the overall strategy. I prefer the assistant manager now. So the transfer plan. Firstly, game week 25. I will have 2 frees because I am rolling in 24. Now, why am I rolling? One of the moves that I was really looking at is Anthony Gordon, and you won't expect it, to Abdoulaye Doucouré. Why? Well, one thing I thought about the assistant manager chip, not only do I want to maximize upside through utilizing or making myself available to the 5-team rule where I get the bonus points, right? 10 plus for the win and 5 plus for the draw. But I would also like to have the players from those teams so that because I think they're going to win, they're going to have to score goals and I can capitalize on the goals. And the goals will also mean that I get assistant manager points and it really just maximizes the whole upside of the thing. I would say fortunately, because I'm sure it'll work out for the best for me, I don't have the free transfers available to myself. I would need about 4, I figured out, to do that and employ that, right? So if I went Gordon to Doucouré, the next week I would only have 1, and I wouldn't be able to move Doucouré on to even a Fulham asset, but ideally Clive it down the line, right? Like it just wouldn't happen with the transfers I need to use down the line, as you will see. So for those reasons, I'm not going to be doing that. But if you are in a position where you have more free transfers than myself, or this situation presents itself to you down the line, and you like my thinking, go for it. There's so much upside attached to it. Hypothetically, right? Just imagine you slapped it on Wolves this week, right? And you slapped it on Cunha, and you bought in Cunha, scores a brace. You get his 13 points as differential, plus the 20 points you'll get from the win, all in all. That's 33 points from one Wolves player. The chip, of course, but really 33 points from one Wolves player, and the first game of your assistant manager. That is season-changing to an extent, right? That could create momentum for so many things. And then you just continuously pair it. But I'm not in the position to do that. So next game week, it will be Moyes to Marco Silva, and because I've rolled, I will get Cliver. Now you will see as we go through this team why Cliver is so integral to this team's plan, because he's so cheap. He facilitates me making moves elsewhere. He was also projected to blank projected to double in game week 33, and as a result, just very, very useful. Now, I didn't talk about that, but I should. All of these plans are on the assumption that the current fixture projections of Ben Crellin and James from Planet FPL, a combination of this, is correct. I am also assuming that, and also like it's very difficult for them to get it right. Right? They don't know the future. They don't know who's going to win this game and that game in the FA Cup and permutations of it as a result. But we're going to make assumptions. We sort of have to, I think. And I'm also assuming the main thing I'm assuming is for me to free at 29 that Liverpool and Newcastle go through in the cup. And Newcastle are 2-0 up, and they'll be at home for the second leg. I think that should be enough to get the job done. And Spurs obviously have a 1-0 lead, but they go to Anfield in not the best form. I think Liverpool get it done as well. So I will free hit 29 if those two results go my way. And honestly, I personally think they should. So this is what 25 looks like, and I'll show you how it all unravels. In 26, on the assumption that Manchester City are 6 and I'm able to capture the 5-team rule, I will move Marco Silva to Pep Guardiola. As you can see, there's still 2.3 million in the bank because the model is not accounting for my funds going there, but comfortably above the asking price. I only need 1.5 and I'll have 0.8 spare. Maybe even 0.7 if Clive goes up in price by the time I buy him, but regardless, I'll be all good. And if he's not, I will probably move to Ruud van Nistelrooy if I had to choose right now. Friday night football under lights at home to Brentford. I think Brentford are a little susceptible to having these off type of performances, and I could see Leicester scoring a few goals in that game as well. And even if they got a draw, it really wouldn't be so bad, and I could see that happening. So I'd be going Ruud van Nistelrooy in 26 if it's not Guardiola, but I've got a feeling I'll be able to access Pep for that game. You would have noticed I moved the Liverpool assets to the bench aside from Mohamed Salah, and I did captain Phil Foden to do what I spoke about when it comes to maximizing upside of the team you're betting on, basically doing very well. Because, of course, I have Phil Foden. And that's the one good thing about my team. I already have Robinson in place, I already have Pickford in place, and I already have Foden in place. So whilst I don't have a triple up with those teams, I will at least have double ups in all of those weeks. And then game week 27, Burgess to Munoz. Why? I don't really like Konate and Hall's fixtures because they play against each other and I can just see both teams scoring. And Munoz is very helpful down the line. Why? Because I'm free hitting 29, so it doesn't matter that he blanks there. He's got a wonderful fixture in game week 28. He's got a wonderful fixture in game week 30. He should have a double in 33, and he will play in 34. So he provides me maximum utility, I would say, or at least a huge amount of it. For getting him in early before the price rises, very helpful. And like I said, I'd rather have him at home to Aston Villa than either Konate or Hall. And this is how the team would line up. One thing that you'll see is quite a constant theme is that Rodgers finds himself on the bench a lot, and that is a conscious thing. Whether that's the case when we come to the game weeks, of course, is subject to change, but as of now, that's kind of how I interpret the fixtures going. In the last slide, I mentioned that Crystal Palace had an attractive fixture in game week 28, and here it can be seen when you see on the model that they have Ipswich, and as such, Johan Whistle will leave and Mateta will come in for all of the reasons discussed previously and the fact that I would love the immediate upside of that fixture. And again, you see Rodgers benched. You see how wonderful the rotation between Munoz, Gabriel, Konate, Robinson and Hall will work, not only from how I've played them so far, but how they will be played in the future. And then having facilitators in Clive and Rodgers, who are both brilliant assets at their price, also allows me to hold Phil Foden, who I would love to have at this period and basically just the rest of the season, as you will see. Now, this is arguably the big one. This team looks phenomenal to me, especially in comparison to what you would have should you not free at 29. Let's be realistic. If you don't free at 29, for most of you, you won't have Guardiola, you won't have Foden, and you won't have Haaland home to Brighton. I would very much like that next week. You probably won't have Ryan Aït-Nouri, nor Matthias Cunha either. So that's 5 of what I deem to be the optimal 11. I've seen a lot of sales for Chris Wood, and I can only imagine they increase given the fixtures coming up. Him as well. He goes away to Ipswich. Probably won't have sales as well because you're moving into Pickford. Now, Pickford doesn't have the worst fixture this week, given he's got West Ham at home, but, you know, I prefer sales. And also, the Palace assets, the Liverpool assets, the Newcastle assets, you would all like to have either side of 29. You're going to have to start selling them and therefore not have them for either 28 or 30, resultant of planning for this game week without having a free hit. And then United away to Leicester. How many of you will have Bruno? Probably not so many. And De Ligt, I think it's a good game to just exploit their slight issue with set pieces, I would say, over at Leicester. And it's probably not the worst game in the world for a clean sheet prospect as well. And that team looks so strong to me. A differential Haaland captain compared to all the field who don't. Absolutely love it. And I'm just really just targeting promoter sides. And obviously you see Semenyo Clive in the middle. I don't really touch on them because a lot of you will probably be able to access them and will have them. But I'm still going to go for them. As things stand, of course, subject so far away. I'll have to look at form and the matchups and interpret them then. But for now, I think this free hit has huge upside and is also, the key thing, so different to my current team. Apart from Foden and Cliver, I won't have any of these players. I wouldn't even realistically be able to bring them in, given the plan down the line. Now, you should hold the thought of how attractive that free hit 29 looked when I get onto Game Week 34. In Game Week 30, Pickford's run really ends, and hopefully he will have served me wonderfully well up till then. Obviously, he won't play in 29 either, on the assumption I don't choose him on a free hit. And I will move Pickford into Henderson. I will have my triple Crystal Palace. I will have them for that Southampton fixture. And then I will have them for the double Game Week 33 and for their fixture in 34, because I will not be free hitting there, because I would have used it previously. And again, the rest of the team looks strong. I should be in a very good position. I mean, Isaac, Salah, Palmer, as template as you get, won't move me up too much, won't move down too much, but fine. Right, that's absolutely okay. Same with Gabriel, realistically. I know his effective ownership is something like 50, but a lot of engaged managers own him. I imagine Gakpo, especially for the people who are aligned with the strategy that I have, will be there for a lot of people as well. But regardless, his ownership is going to just increase with the double game week coming up. Foden, I love. Clivert will be so popular. And Konate is just, I think, the best Liverpool defensive asset. And then obviously I've got the depth as well, right? So the team every week should be performing decently to well. Obviously you'll have some better weeks and some worse weeks, but still, it looks like a very strong team, as you can see with the game week rating in pretty much every week so far. One thing you will have noticed is that pretty much every game week we have to make one transfer. So we don't really get to roll too much until we get to this point. Now, I could move Foden to Gordon because Gordon has Leicester, and I think Phil Foden has Man United this week, albeit in game week 32. I'm not actually sure. But I looked at it and I thought, maybe Foden actually has a better fixture. But let's just say I wanted to commit to Newcastle early. Again, similar to Palace, they double in 33 and they play in 34, which is absolutely key for me because I am not free hitting in 34 because I would have already done it in 29. And again, the team looks strong. You'll see again, Rodgers on the bench. But like I said, again, the team looks strong. And then I will either make that move or roll, right? And then we arrive at game week 32. Now, the reason I haven't shown a picture of 33, which is meant to be the double, is because the projections have not been added to the Fantasy Football Hub model. So I thought it's kind of pointless to show you without, the doubles being there. And I'll just show you on one slide. What you will notice, however, is even if I don't make a transfer, apart from the Gordon one, in 32 or 33, roll and roll, going into double game week 33, let's just assume Palace, let's just assume, by the way, Liverpool, Newcastle double, because like I said, Liverpool and Newcastle go through to the final because it's all pretty much contingent on that. Newcastle, Liverpool, and Palace will double. I've got triple Liverpool. I've got triple Newcastle. I've got triple Palace. I have 9 doublers already. I wouldn't really need to make too many other moves, okay? And not only that, I'll also have Morgan Rodgers, who was meant to play Liverpool in 29. So he would also double. And with the current projections, Clivert is also meant to. That's 11 doublers without having made a move. So I would have arrived at 33 with a very strong squad, right? The only thing that I don't love is that I don't have any Man United cover for this double, which would be like Wolves and Bournemouth. Wolves at home, Bournemouth away. Would I have a preference to get Bruno? Yes. Could I get Bruno? Yes, but it spoils my plan in 34. Maybe he will be worth a hit at the point. We will see. And it's just one hit I would have to take to get him in and still have a full 11 for next game week. But regardless, the team looks very strong. And that's why I'm not really that bothered about free hitting in 34, because I can still get to a very strong team in 33. And as you will see by my team in 34, I will just have a lot of the template. Now, one of the most attractive things I said about free hit 29 is my Haalands, my Fodens, my Vardios, my Brunos, my Cunhas, my Woods, my Ryan Norris, even De Ligt, even Zels. Literally everyone in the team, apart from the Bournemouth boys, will be very much inaccessible to those not free hitting in 29. Whereas this team in 34 won't be so far from the template. You'll look, there'll be less games, right? So less combinations to choose from. You look at Newcastle, they've got Ipswich at home. You'll be on a triple up. Realistically, I'll probably be Hall, Gordon, Isaac. I will have that. You'll see Southampton. You'll see that they're away. See Fulham. They're away to Southampton. Probably want to triple up on a free hit there. Well, I have that, right? With the free transfers that I'm using. You'll see Gabriel. He will probably want him. I'll have that. You'll see Cunha away to Leicester. I'll have that. At home to Leicester. Apologies. I'll have that. Now, I have Henderson, Munoz, and Mateta, which isn't ideal, right? And that's where the sacrifice comes in a little bit, just like there's no Bruno last week. But you cannot be optimal every week, right? You have to sacrifice somewhere so that you can make bigger gains in other places. And honestly, Henderson will have a high ceiling in that game. He'll probably rack up some saves. It shouldn't be too bad. Munoz obviously is so far down the line, so things will change, but you know what I mean. Munoz always has attacking threat. I can always just get an assist and it won't be too bad. And Mateta can score against basically anyone. So it should be all good. And if I really wanted to go into defensive mode, I could always just take a hit, bring in Ryan Knight-Nori for Munoz, and yeah, sure, I'd be down 4 points, but at least he can't haul on me, and Munoz won't get 0, and there will be 15 points, right? I could do that. So, and hopefully the investment prior will have be able to pay that hit off easily. So I see the team to be really strong and not so far off the free hit template. And as such, I see this as somewhat impenetrable strategy on the assumption that projections go my way and go as I've planned for. The other thing is, imagine I was to play the assistant manager chip in this time. Say I was to play the triple captain chip now and still commit to free hit 29 because that's what I like. In 31 to 33, I'd be making transfers again and again and again because I'm looking to constantly maximize the 5-team rule. I don't love Palace's fixtures for the whole stretch, as I discussed in everything you need to know as well. So for me, and given there'll be so many teams doubling, you want to move money around and have the optimal asset here, there. So again, that's just another factor which I don't really like, and the table will be more settled, and it will be even more settled by the time we get to 36 to 38. So I assume chance of an upset probably decreases as well, given everyone will be in their more rightful positions, I would say. Obviously, you'll have a few differences compared to what you would expect, but that's natural. It's the Premier League. Yeah, up to now, it's absolutely magnificent. Now, I don't show the wildcard in 35 and the bench boost in 36, but you can imagine that, one, the bench boost in 36 will be as close to optimal as you can get because I'm wildcarding the game week before. And in game week 33, what you would have noticed as well is it's a smaller double game week compared to what projected one is for double game week 36. So, when you pick assets, do bench boost, they'll all pretty much be playing against each other by minimizing upside. I have no interest in that. In 36 as well, I would like Haaland and Triple City on my wildcard and bench boost. To get to that, when you don't have a wildcard in 35, or you're wildcarding before because you've had to change your team so much for 29, again, I just personally don't really like it. So for me, the strategy reigns supreme at the moment, and things need to go my way, but it looks very solid. And I would just show you what it looked like with my team, because then maybe you can apply it to yours, and maybe it might just transform your season. And that is all she wrote for this video, ladies and gentlemen. I imagine a slightly longer team selection than usual, but I thought it was necessary for you to see how the plan unravels all the way, so you understand where my thinking's at and how mainly it can benefit you, because I already knew what it was going to look like. But if you can take some ideas from that, even if one of you transforms your season because the chip strategy falls the way that I would like, then my work here is done. If you enjoyed the video, please do consider subscribing and consider liking the video. 450 likes and 6.5k subs is the goal. I shall see you tomorrow for solving your problems. And in the meantime, have a wonderful day. Goodbye.